Well, I'm going to be honest and feel a little uncomfortable here because this is very vague. However, because Nora does license these things, this is her problem, not my headache. However, just to make fun of Nora, there are limits because, yes, whatever you think about Nora, and even if you feel sorry for her, and again, who can't feel sorry for her because she just keeps bouncing back and forth between all these cults, the Scientology cult, then the Aaron cult. Now she's creating her own cult. It gets exhausting with her. But again, she's now a full grown adult and she's just not learning and keeps getting worse and worse. But her excuse is that I am nowhere near as bad as Miscavige or Rinder or Aaron Smith Levin and yada, 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 which is true. They are more destructive. And that's kind of be the theme of this video is the difficult issue of ranking how bad someone is. And it is a tough call. So let me just get to the punchline. So Nance Drew, who has a very controversial case with Scientology, and they went through that with Nora on her channel. That's a whole thing unto itself. I'm not going to get into that. That would just take too much time, and the video would be way too long, and people might not be interested. So, but something happened during their conversation. Essentially, someone brought up an accusation with Selfless. Now, who is Selfless? Well, he's a radical activist who's been linked to Laura FM, who is going out with DOA. He's also been a big supporter of Liz Ferris. Now, Selfless does stand out a little bit because when I say radical activist, he actually seems to be what he is. Now, that said, questions can be asked and you can be critical of him, but he does have a consistency that is pretty rare for these alleged radical activists like DOA or Streets LA and so on and so forth, where frankly they seem to me just opportunists, right? Like DOA for a while was in the BLM, right? He was a white ally. But given points, he was also pro-Palestinian before it was popular. So he just takes up a lot of these radical causes. Now, I'm not going to go through the whole thing with Scott here. If you want that, go to Dedant. Dedant has done many excellent videos on DOA's very murky record as an activist. And Nora herself actually had a lot of problems with Selfless because he was very pro DOA, pro Laura, and pro Liz Ferris. And earlier in the year, Nora was basically, and again, Aaron did do a lot of this himself, right? So let's be clear. However, Nora is basically acting like an enforcer, trying to get rid of them and banning them and creating this echo chamber for Aaron. And so she was very nasty to Selfless for just defending Liz Ferris. She got really, really mad and was screaming. In fact, that video was particularly out there because she was screaming so loud, Nora's wife had to say, please be quiet. That's right. Even Nora's wife got upset at her screaming, ranting nonsense, which she rarely does. For the most part, the wife supports the toxic ranting, but apparently that day it was a little bit too much. Okay, that's the setup. Let's get to the thing. So the accusation is DV. I'd like to be more explicit, but YouTube goes crazy, right? And I can't lie, I do like monetization. If you want more raw videos, I will do that for the channel members. So is this an Amber Heard situation, right? If you remember way back in the day, Amber Heard accused Johnny Depp of all kinds of vile things while they were going out and they were husband and wife. And in their relationship, that Johnny was acting very, very terribly. Now, I'm not saying Johnny was a total gentleman, but I do think he proved in the trial pretty overwhelmingly that most of her accusations were false or misleading, or to put it mildly, she was exaggerating. And he, on the other hand, was able to demonstrably prove through witnesses as actual evidence that no, 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 she's making a lot of stuff up. And also, you have to know laws in the US. I know a lot of people get, I don't know, angry at me for being so nitpicky here, but DV laws, like other laws in the US, are very contextual, right? So you have to be in a certain state, a certain locality. You can charge somebody with this, you can charge someone with that, but you will not be able to charge them with this or that because, again, that's just how America is built. The laws are very contextual to the town, to the locality, to the county, to you go through the list, right? Like it or not, that is how it is. So it is very particular to where you are. So is this a serious DV charge or is this like a formal charge where whoever this is, right, Selfless's spouse or girlfriend or even boyfriend or whatever, did charge him with DV, but the actual charge is kind of like, well, there's really nothing here, right? It means like, okay, you can charge him, but you don't really have anything. But again, this is the US. And if there is a law, and if you think you're injured, you can go to the police and say, yes, I am being injured. Please do something about this. So there we are. So again, at this point, we're going to have to do more checking. It is an accusation. We do not know if it's true. However, let us say it is true. What does this mean? Well, let me get to the ranking thing first. So, if we have to rank things, and again, you don't have to, you can just condemn all these people. That is your prerogative. But if you did have to rank them, you'd have to say Aaron and yes, Nora are at the top of the list. They're pretty bad, they're pretty toxic. And more in the middle are people like Selfless. So, with Aaron, he does this pretty outrageous stuff, just going around bugging small old women and screaming, "What about Danny Masterson? Do you know Danny Masterson? Where's David Miscavige?" That's not activism. That's not radical activism. That's him being a jerk. But again, free speech is a thing, so he can be a jerk. But really, what's he doing? He's just trying to squeeze people for money. And again, he's a brave guy. He's really tall, so Aaron can pick on small old women because that's his usual victims and do things like that. So I'm not very impressed with Aaron screaming about Danny Masterson to small little girls, but that is his thing. Now you have to give Selfless a lot of credit. He rarely does that. Now he has been caught screaming at old people, right? I'm not going to distort his record. However, he does try to be a little bit more serious. He does have a little bit more education. He does know a few things. He's actually formally educated. So he's a little bit more credible with radical activism. Apparently his whole family has a whole history there. That said, just because you're in the middle class of toxic people doesn't make you a hero. So he is better than DOA or Streets LA or Aaron. I think they're complete opportunists. So he's only middle way through, right? He's not going to be screaming at the top of his lungs like Serge Del Mar, making all kinds of wild accusations. However, he is willing to put stuff out there that he doesn't quite know. He is willing to be pretty aggressive on the streets. And sometimes he makes, to put mildly, poor decisions. He had this weird run in with a black man and tried to make a kind of slavery comparison. I don't think he was racist, by the way. I would defend him there. I just think that was not a really good confrontation. I don't even know what we benefited from it, but like, what kind of anti-Scientology is that? I don't know. So I do think he's genuinely confused in a few places. However, he seems to be actually authentic, that he actually does hate the church. He actually hates Scientology. That's why he's out there. But again, this is a serious accusation. And if it is true, that would do a lot of damage to his reputation and to Nora, ironically. So let me just concentrate on her as we conclude. So Nora responded to this accusation saying, I don't even know who you are. That is disturbing, sir. In this chat, we do not allow this. Selfless is my friend. I will not allow this accusation. Okay, for the record, Nora herself on her channel, Nora's moderators, and Nora's chat always routinely accuse people of wild things, unproven things. They do it all the time. So, in terms of accusations in the chat, no, that is a lie. Nora allows it. Nora even encourages it if you're the right person. So, with Aaron, Rinder, or whoever her enemy is at the moment, she will encourage the most wild fantasies and the wildest of conspiracy theories. So, she's just lying. She does let accusations into her chat. Her sacred channel allows accusations. So her saying, "Oh, that's an accusation. Oh, I will not allow it." That is a complete lie. So she's just being a liar. But I would give Nora this, that she gives a qualification saying, "Well, I don't know who you are." It's those rules. If she trusts you, if you're her friend or ally like Laura, and now apparently DOA and Selfless, then the accusations can just come out of nowhere. That's her epistemological system. If you're friendly to her dictatorship, then accusations are fine. But otherwise, accusations are bad. Where is the evidence, sir? I demand some evidence before you make that accusation. Well, at the moment, it is an accusation. And she was letting a lot of things in here. For instance, when it came to Nance making accusations about other people and saying, "I will not stand for that racism," she says, "Oh, yeah, I will not stand for that racism." So basically, if you're Nora's enemy, you're guilty as charged. And accusations are fine because those are just facts. However, if she likes you and things like that, well, you'll get protection. So if you're accused, she's going to be like, "Well, I don't know about that. Selfless has been a friendly man for the last 2 months." Early in the year, he was not a friendly person, so it was okay to accuse him and attack him. And that's the way it goes with Nora. So anyway, so yeah, Nora's being acting like a big hypocrite for years and years, and this is no different. However, this is a serious subject. It could go either way. It could be, yeah, Selfless is Johnny Depp. Maybe he's a bad guy in many ways. He's a good guy in many ways, but this DV charge does not hold up. Or he could be Amber Heard. He is guilty of DV. He is actually very abusive. We're gonna have to wait and see.